today we are going to explore how you can enable live reloading or auto reloading when building your R Shiny applications. So maybe the first thing is to mention why it's useful. So when building the applications, it kind of gets tiring to manually stop and restart the application when you make changes to your source code. But the thing with Shiny is that if you're just using the most basic structure of let's say you have a global.r file, server and UI.r, when you just reload it on your browser, it works fine. But now if you have a nested file structure, then just reloading your browser will not work. So this is why I am making this video. So also, actually it will not be specific to Shiny, or as you can see, I'm using it for Amburix in this example. I'll actually link it in the description in case you just want to follow along the written stuff and not have to watch the whole video. So as I said, it's not specific to Shiny. You can use it for Amburix. You can as well use it for just an arbitrary R script that you want to be automatically rerun if, let's say, you make changes to your working directory. So that's it. Let's get into it. What are the prerequisites? 1, you'll need Node.js, and 2, npm. But we won't be writing any JavaScript in case you are afraid. So that's it. Let's go to the setup. We of course need an application. So what we are going to do is we'll create a very basic application, just the bare minimum, so that we can just have something to work with as a demo. Let's do that. So I'll open up my terminal, increase the font a bit, and then let me cd to where I usually have my projects. So cd to projects and then R playground, and then let's create a directory. So make directory, let's call it Autoreload-Shiny, and then let's cd into that directory. So since we are going to have a bare minimum application, we need 3 files: ui.r, server.r, and global.r. So let's create them. So touch ui, server, and global, and then .r. So if we do ls, we can see the files have been created. Then the next thing, we need to open the directory in a code editor. You can use RStudio, but I use VS Code. So I'll just do code here, and that fires up VS Code. Now let's start with global.r. So under global.r, I usually use it for loading the packages used in my application. In this case, we'll only have Shiny, so library Shiny. Then save that. Then let's proceed to ui.r. Again, we'll have a very simple UI. By the way, let me increase the font size a bit. So we'll have a very simple UI, and that will be, let's say, UI will be fluid page. The title will be Autoreload in, okay, if I can get that correctly, Autoreload in Shiny. And then let's add a div, so tags subset div. Let's give it a class of container, and then let's have a tag subset h3. Let's give it live reloading, and then let's have a text input. So text input id will be name, then the label will be name, then maybe let's have a placeholder, enter your name, right? So that's it. The UI is actually complete. Now let's move on to the server.r file. So under the server will be a function of input, output and session. So let's observe this input, and then when it changes, we'll just print it on the console. So observe event input subset name, and then when it changes, just print it on the console. So print input subset name, and that's it. So actually our minimal application is complete. Let's take it for a test run. So on my terminal, I'll fire up R, and then I'll just do shiny run up, hit enter, and as you can see, here we have the application. And then so currently name is empty, so an empty string is printed on the console. But let's say we change it to Frodo. As you can see, it prints as expected. So our minimal application is working. Now the next thing is, let's say we make a change here on server. Let's say print here, just something simple. You see, I've saved the file, but the application has not reloaded, and that is what we want to tackle. We want to ensure that as soon as you save the changes, the application automatically reloads. So let's get started with npm. So I'm just going to stop the application, exit R, and then I'll do npm init-y. So this basically tells npm initialize an npm project using the default configurations. That's what the -y flag is for. So hit enter, and that should be done as soon as you just hit it. So it will add a package.json file under your working directory. We'll come back to that later. For now, let's install nodemon using npm. So we'll do npm I for install, then -d for dev dependency, and then let's do nodemon. So nodemon is what we'll use to monitor the files and reload the application. So hit enter, give it a few seconds, and it should be done in no time. Well, it's actually taking its time. Okay, it's done. Now that that's over, let's create another file called nodemon.json. So nodemon.json, and then inside of nodemon.json, let's just copy the contents from the example on GitHub, this one. So let's just copy it and paste. So what does each one of these mean? So exec map basically specifies an executable mapping for .r files, which is R script. And then the extension, these are the files that nodemon will monitor. So in this case we have star. Star means monitor all files for changes. But if we wanted to monitor only specific files, for example .r files, .html, .css, and .js, only those ones, then we'll change the ext to this. So that's it. After that, then we go to package.json. So let's replace this line. Let's just remove it first, and then add a script called dev, and then under dev we'll say nodemon, and then --signal will be sigterm, and then our entry point file, let's actually just use entry point.r for now. Okay, so basically what does this do? Calls nodemon, and then it says once let's just read whatever I've written because I already had it. So the --sigterm is basically telling nodemon to send a termination signal to the previously running program before spawning a new one, and that's especially useful for freeing the port the app is running on and then reusing it again. So just that. So now that we have we've set this up, let's save the changes, and then we'll need this entry point.r, cause that is the file that NodeMon will rerun each time it detects changes. So let's create a file called entrypoint.r, and basically this is where you put your Shiny run app. And then let's give it a port, let's say 8000, and then we'll tell it to launch browser each time it is run. So launch.browser will be true. Launch. Yeah, so save, and that's it. The next thing, just do npm run dev, which should work as expected. So you see it fires up the application, and if I change the name to, let's say, Mwavu, you see it's printed on the console. So let's try making changes to any file. Let's start with the server. We don't need the print here, so remove it, save. As you can see, stops the application, restarts it with the new changes. So currently here is not printed, but if I still change my name, that's printed well. Let's change something else. Let's print here, print name changed, just that. Save, it stops the application and then restarts it, and then you can see name changed, but it's still an empty string. And the same happens, like if I change the UI, so live reloading, let's do live reloading in R Shiny, save, stops the application, reloads it, and then you can see the changes that you just made. Like if you make a change to any file, it will reload the application and incorporate the new changes. So that's it. What else do I need to mention? Oh, so if you're using this in a Git project, ideally you would add package.json, package.lock.json, nodemon.json, and the node modules folder to your .git ignore, because you don't want to track those, since we are just using them for development. So let me just show you how your .git ignore might look like. So create a new file, .git ignore, and then we've said we are ignoring node modules. Okay, if I can get that correct, node modules, and then nodemon.json, package.lock.json, and then package.json. So just save it. So if you're using Git, it's advisable to just ignore these ones. And that's the end of the tutorial. Have a great day.